Remix. 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 Remix.
Oh, yeah. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, coming to bring you some of that boom bap breakfast. Just us, not just me, holding the D straight from the DMV, as you can see. She goes by the name of Jackie Lukman. And we got somebody else coming soon. They will be here in about 5, 4, 3, 2, Ricky Ryan, aka Erica K.
No, I don't. Why did it was fine with the what was the you messed up the flow. It was Hey, Erica.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. I'm messing up the flow.
I
see she got her Cazelli shades on over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, is she taking it back to the 80s with the Reagan crack era?
What? Dang.
The 80s was the Reagan crack era, wasn't it? Am I lying? We can't hear you, though, Erica. Oh, man.
No
sound.
Sorry.
There we go.
That better?
Yes.
Muted. Yeah, I have to wear glasses now for reading and driving at night because the LED lights are going to kill me.
Look cute. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm about to go put on my gazelles in a minute.
That's okay. Don't do that.
No? Oh, you're too late. It's happening. We gonna be the Gazelle twins. All you gotta do is get a dookie rope around that charm, Jackie, and then we'll be straight 80s out here.
I never got into the 80s aesthetic but I was never a fashion person. That came much later in life.
That was an era. That was a great era. Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
It was.
The bombers, the sheepskins.
Shoulder pads. I love shoulder pads.
Oh my God.
I love a structured jacket.
Was it about trying to be masculine with that look, or that was what people were saying?
With the power suits?
Yeah, the power suits.
No. The power suits would have about being masculine. But at that time, industries, there were a lot more women entering the workforce in like corporate, they had executive positions as opposed to secretarial positions. So they had a little more money to spend. And so fashion was directed towards them.
Mm-hmm.
So the power suit comes out of
literally a made up marketing, something that away for, and this is how capitalism, boys and girls, this is how capitalism works.
Let's get it.
Regular things happen in society because humans evolve in a regular kind of way. So women entering into an advanced, highly technological workplace, as society advances technologically, well, that's a natural thing to happen. But in a capitalist society, marketers and manufacturers find a way to monetize every social advancement so that they can market certain things to the people involved in that advancement. So they made up these dumb ideas about power suits. Women should wear certain colors to assert their dominance and equality in the workforce. Certain things women shouldn't wear so they can be taken seriously. Yeah, all of that stuff was marketing to sell clothes to women who had more money than generations of women before.
Yeah.
then
Um,
and it didn't do anything to address the actual structural issues of gender inequality and patriarchy in the workforce. That's your
no,
lesson for today,
no.
boys and
But if
girls.
you had on a power suit, you were more likely to be taken seriously.
Mhm.
Allegedly.
And a little briefcase.
Yeah, yes,
A
and a
little
little
briefcase.
briefcase. And I
that
tried that.
had,
I bucked
that
one or
had
two.
codes on them that you couldn't get in unless you knew the code. Hey,
Not
you
the
ain't got
baby briefcase.
nah.
The fashionable
Yeah.
woman had like a luxury briefcase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe a MCM tote. I don't know. Did they have those? Those
Was
you had
that
to go
back
to
then?
Dapper Dan to get one of them. But do y'all own a
Yeah.
nice pantsuit now, or I got like 8 suits.
I love a pantsuit.
Mhm.
I love a cigarette pant with a structured blazer. Black.
Yeah, I
Sometimes a shirt,
my
sometimes no shirt.
mhm. Sometimes no sure. Oh,
Oh,
under with a
okay,
zipper
Miami Vice. I
yes.
see you down there.
Okay.
Crockett and Tubbs over here.
Yeah, I had my whole war. I mean, I spent what 30 some year, basically most of my professional life in corporate America. So all of my clothes were suits, and
Really?
then
What did you do in corporate America, Jackie?
I was first I started as a receptionist,
Mm,
and this was before Microsoft Word. This was before Windows, not Word. This was
wow.
before Windows. And I knew Microsoft DOS. I was the only person in the office who knew every function in Microsoft DOS. So um, when Windows came along, I taught myself Windows, and I was able to move up in the office, move up in the office from receptionist to administrative assistant, project assistant. Then I was an executive assistant. Then I moved into technical writing, um, requirements analysis, and proposal writing. So that's what I did as a government contractor for the last
Mm.
13, 15 years of my career at a little company called SRA. And yeah, all of my clothes were suits, skirt suits, pantsuits, all that kind of good stuff. And now I don't want to wear that crap. I want to be as fancy and colorful and as whimsical as I can imagine with my clothes.
All
Even
I
though I don't know
heard,
what the hell size clothes I wear anymore. And,
all I
and
heard was you was around before Windows.
I was,
Did you
and the
also see
internet,
that? You also
and
see
the internet.
you seen the tire become circular?
I
Oh,
did. I
man.
did it. It was a magical
Wow.
thing. It was a magical thing to see the baby dinosaurs rolling the tar across the plain because they didn't know what they were doing. The baby dinosaurs did not know that they
Nice.
were making a circle thing. They were just playing with the tar
Mm,
from the pit. That's it. And the next
man.
thing you know, they left it out. One of the baby dinosaurs hopped on it and was doing a little stompy thing around it. Look, he was having a good time. He made a hole in the thing. They left it out. And the next day it was this hard round thing.
Look
And
at
their
that.
parents, the dinosaur parents, were amazed, but then the humans came out of the caves.
Mm. You went with that. I like
I
that. That's
did.
good.
I
That's good.
did.
That's good.
I
See,
did. That's
that's how you deflect the joke. You know what I'm saying? Uh
mhm.
Erica, what was your first you ever had a corporate job?
No.
And be thankful.
I had a
Absolutely.
I had a semi-corporate job. I worked for a collection agency, a law firm that had I don't even think it was a law firm. I think they just had like one lawyer in the building and said we a law firm. So you can call and be like, this is law and y'all need to pay y'all bill. That was pretty good. I got awards and everything, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah. I know how to collect. Speaking of collecting money,
Marvin
big up
Lowe,
to Infinite Content. Sending in $5. Hey y'all, read about Iraqi
Hmm.
artillery
Close
group
enough.
getting greenlit to aid Iran. Are we seeing? Boy, is this me reading or is this them writing?
both.
Both. It's both. It's both. Go ahead. It's okay. It's both.
It's both.
Let me sound this out. Are we seeing a first Oh, goddamn. Go ahead and read that for me, please.
Are we saying
Caliphate?
Whoa, caliphate. Well, you know where I'm going right after this. Webster, where you at?
I'm helping you. I'm trying to help you. Hold on.
God damn.
Okay. Caliphate is an Islamic state under the leadership of a caliph or successor to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, combining religious and political authority over the Ummah. And the Ummah is the entire Muslim community. And the answer to his question is no. ain't nobody forming a caliphate that's no. That's not what's happening. There is something I think important happening, and I do hope we kind of riff on that a little bit, but not a caliphate.
Jackie, I think they did that just to get me to read. They said that $5 in just so I could try to read that, and they knew I was gonna fuck that word up. It's all good. Keep going. Keep sending in money and putting big words on the screen. I'll try to read them.
I was gonna say any incentive.
Exactly. I mean, look, when we say we do whatever works, we ain't messing. We do whatever works. Trick you into reading, we sure will. Just like my mama used to.
What my boy do? He was like, aha. Aha.
Sitting there eating my cereal. I'm asking her 89 questions. She's like, look at here. What does the box say? What the box say? Tell me what the box say.
All right, before we get to serious business, favorite cereal.
What's it called? Quaker granola. I love that stuff. I love it.
Excuse me, I really didn't mean to just throw up in my mouth. Quaker what?
Quaker granola. Yeah, I love it. It's delicious.
That sounds like rabbit food.
You call it what you want, but if you touch my bowl, I'm biting you.
I'm sure it's safe. I'm sure
Eric about to say porridge.
I don't eat cereal. I grew up on bacon saltfish. I had meals for breakfast. I was never a cereal kid. Like even now, my child don't eat cereal. He eat food. Like mac and cheese and fried chicken for breakfast.
That cereal is really not good for you. You're eating a whole bowl of milk and just sugar. It is, but Trix in Honey Nut Cheerios as well.
Trix and Honey Nut Cheerio. It's bad for you, but you have favorite cereal too.
I don't eat cereal no more. That shit is a waste of. Well, when you just want a snack and you got the munchies.
Precisely. Yeah. And that's the great thing about granola. You can have it for breakfast. Mostly I don't, but usually I'll have it for like a dessert or a late night sweet snack. And I'll I'll put it on some yogurt, and put some berries and some nuts in it. And me and Kamathi, we go to town. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Sounds great. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some stuff going on. As you see, this is the Remix Morning Show. And today, the thumbnail is time to say peace. This is supposed to be a ceasefire going on, but when is that time coming? I don't know.
We'll see. Said, what? There's a what?
A ceasefire?
Excuse me? Did you consult us? Because we didn't.
Huh? What happened? Oh, consult y'all about what y'all gonna talk about?
No.
What? I'm lost. Let me just take a break. It's too much. Good morning, y'all. This is Remix Morning Show. I'm the ear doctor. That's Jackie Lutman. That's Erica Keynes. And this is a break. Let's get it right.
Me and you are friends, but trust me, the win. You can't have a girl and every night she complain. Me vex enough, like you a give man bad name. Oh no, me woulda shame. Me and you are friends, but trust me, the win. You can't have a girl and every night she complain. Me vex enough, like you a give man bad name. Oh no, your girl tell me say you can't even spend 5 minutes, and she tell me say she better call your watch list, and she tell me say a whole heap of time you flop, and you find excuse for muscle contract. She tell me say you're weak and related to sleep, and when she want to eat, you are quite hard to sheet. Marathon for lunch, she get hot like the sun, and ready for your fun, but you pop out for done. Oh no, no, no.
All right. Let me take you to a time and place. Let me give you a little remix on a remix in case you don't know what just happened to you. Yes, it is a time and place that I'm taking you to, which is 1997, with the man them called Red Rat. Yes, off the album Oh No, it's Red Rat. Yes, and the name of that song is Dwayne. Big up to all the Dwaynes. Big up to all the Arrowts and all them people out there. Yeah. So hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare, donate where at blkliberationmedia.org, as it's seen on the bottom of the screen. Go over there and get you some swag while you over there. When I say swag, I mean a fly hoodie, a t-shirt, or something. Get fresh, y'all. All right, that's it. Let's get back to it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah. All right. Erica had to reload, so she'll be back soon. So
yes.
Yeah, I DJ'd a comedy show last night. It was pretty fun.
Cool.
You know, they joked on me, of course. Whenever, you know, so
Hey.
Huh?
It's our job.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, there was one waitress that came over at a certain time and asked me a question when I was supposed to be playing a song for the next person to come on, and it didn't happen. So, yeah, it was like, well, goddamn, DJ, do what the fuck I want when I want to do it.
Good grief.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's brutal.
It was good. I love it. You know, they had to have somebody to joke on. They definitely, you know, never sit up front when you don't want to get joked on. That's all.
I thought that we established that if you don't want to be picked on by the comedian, do not sit in the first 5 rows of a comedy show. Don't do it.
You ever been in one comedy show?
I have.
Okay.
I have. It's not my thing. Yeah, it's not my thing.
Okay. I got to do an open mic tonight, so.
There's too much experimental creativity for me. I don't.
My goodness, a lot of people trying to make it. Boy, I tell you,
I don't know. It's I don't know why. I never did like stand up. Like going to.
But you don't like Erica's poetry neither, so I get it, Jackie.
It's not that I don't like Erica's poetry. I do not enjoy spoken word. That's it.
My poetry.
Don't you get me in trouble with her.
Is there a time when you can share one of your poems with us?
No, I'm not.
That's by Maya Angelou.
Oh,
Erica. Might you share one of your poems?
Oh
no.
I don't even know what to do with that.
I left it and let God, you know.
That was wise.
Give to the Lord.
That was very wise, because I couldn't tell if that was the old lady from Downton Abbey. But he said it was Maya Angelou, so I was like, okay, if that's what that's fine. Oh my gosh, there's so much. You want to get to this news and
yes,
talk about what the devil is going on in this world. Let's toss this satellite, see where it lands. How about that? Hey, welcome back to the Remix Morning Show. I am Jackie Lukman. This is Erica Keynes, and this is Less News. Oh my God. So, I guess we do have to start, Erica, with the ceasefire that people think is, but Iran says, excuse me, Trump declares victory, and this is being reported by NPR, WAMU, out of American University. Trump declares victory and claims that Iran offers a prize in talks that Iran has denied having. And this was reported yesterday at 5:40 p.m. Stop it, go away. President Trump said on Tuesday, Iran made a valuable offer to reach a deal with the United States in negotiations that Iranian officials have so far denied are taking place. Trump would not specify what the offer was, but said it was, quote, a very significant prize related to the Strait of Hormuz. We've won this. This war has been won, Trump declared in the Oval Office Tuesday. But Iran also believes it is winning in its form of asymmetric warfare. Analysts and former U.S. officials say, well, I don't think Iran sees this in the perspective of winning and losing, as opposed to we unfortunately have to teach y'all a lesson. But anyway, Trump's comments on a possible deal came even as thousands of U.S. Marines, as well as the commander and some staff of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division, are headed to the Middle East. So how are you going to say that there's a ceasefire when you're sending troops to the, you see what NPR has,
Palestine, right?
huh?
There's a fire in Palestine, no? So I guess it can mean whatever they want it to mean.
Yeah, the ceasefire, it means anything. NPR has also confirmed that the Israeli military wants to keep fighting it on for several more weeks to achieve its war aims, and that's to cripple Tehran, hopefully take out the entire leadership of the country and take control, invade, and occupy southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, the U.S. and Israel continued to attack Iran on Tuesday, with Iran's Revolutionary Guard, excuse me, reporting a strike on a gas supply line feeding a power station in southwest Iran. The International Atomic Energy Agency said another projectile hit Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant. Iran fired multiple barrages of missiles, including one that hit Tel Aviv. And there are more details. Pakistan's prime minister says they're ready to facilitate talks to end the war. Talks that Iran is like, no. Who? Listen, folks. You don't negotiate with a person who is still punching you in the damn face. If that person who is still punching you in the face is turning over his other shoulder, telling everybody else, we've won this, they're offering a prize for us, this is over, while they are still punching you in the face. And then somebody is like, well, they're in negotiations. Your response is not going to be, yes, let's negotiate. Your response is to kick that motherfucker's ass so they stop punching you in the face, and then they cannot punch people in the face any longer. That is the situation in the region right now. What ceasefire? There is no ceasefire. I don't care what U.S. media says. I don't care what Trump says. You shouldn't either. There's no ceasefire. The U.S. and Israel are going to continue to bomb Tehran because Israel wants to continue to invade and occupy Lebanon. They've already displaced 1 million people out of southern Lebanon. At the same time, the genocide in Gaza is continuing, and now the settlers, the ones that are left in the West Bank, are terrorizing or escalating the terrorizing of Palestinians in the West Bank. They are individual settlers and gangs of settlers are running around the West Bank, assaulting, murdering, setting people and property on fire, stealing people. That is all happening right now. There is no ceasefire, y'all.
No, and the U.S. doesn't actually have any incentive to stop this war. And so while I know that there are limitations in terms of the artillery and also the ability to put boots on the ground, because the U.S. cannot re-up weapons. I mean, that's the whole to do about the tariffs, right? Bringing back the industrial, sector that has been non-existent since the push for neoliberalism in the late 70s, early 80s that gutted that whole factory workers industry, right? So they can't re-up on the weapons, but they have no actual incentive to end the war. The U.S. is currently making money hand over fist because it monopolizes liquefied natural gas. So even with the Strait being closed, which is significant, the gas prices being raised here is a benefit to the ruling class. Monopolizing liquefied natural gas is a benefit to the ruling class because everyone has to go through the U.S. and has been, including China. So that does destabilize China a bit or puts China in a precarious position a bit, but that's the actual situation. And so for me, I've been talking for weeks. I think, I am very, very grateful for Gabriel Rockhill because there needs to be a return of serious Marxism. Because the way that we are understanding Iran or Palestine or Venezuela or Cuba has been through phenomena, right? And experienced phenomena rather than understanding it. So the distinction between understanding phenomena and experience it, I think it's crucial because we're looking at Iran and then we're we're reacting to the sanctions or the rhetoric of ceasefire or the military composition in total. So we're kind of like trapped in the appearances of war without really understanding, well, what is the reason? And so to understand war materialistically is to grasp its essence. So we are in a phase of global class war, and it's a necessary siege against a nation that has attempted to escape the logic of capital. So when we talk about dialectical and historical materialism, again, this is not just language, right? Because I'm watching people listen to Bilkram on Black myths or listen to these other scholars, and they're receiving it, but then they're not actually applying it to what they're seeing, right? So they're listening and getting a kind of analysis, but they're walking away with that analysis still looking at kind of these surface level things. But what the war on Iran, it's not a discrete geopolitical, as you name. We're looking at Lebanon. They just blew up the bridge. So the 1 million people that have been displaced, they're making sure they can never come back. Right? So it's not a discrete geopolitical event, but a structural feature of contemporary imperialism. So it is a direct consequence of Iran's 1979 rupture with the neocolonial order and its attempt to build a society that prioritizes national development over profit. And that puts them directly in the crosshairs of the U.S., right? Because what the U.S. is trying to do with the expansion of its hegemony is maintain how capital moves. Not even the capital. They want to control how it moves. And so that's what we need to be understanding. Because we look, if we understand these nation states as an enclosure, and we see how imperialism uses borders, private ownership of infrastructure, and to your point, that forced displacement as mechanism of primitive accumulation. So while the U.S. cannot re-up the weapons, they don't care what happens to those soldiers any more than they care about the 150 little girls that were killed in the school, any more than they care, because the logical conclusion of capital is death. Mm-hmm. So it's either death of the social structure, death of the mode of production, or death of actual humans. And that is what we're seeing at play here. So to be anti-imperialist in this moment is to defend and support Iran, because Iran is taking on a distinct anti-imperialist position. And this is not academic framing. It's a prerequisite for effective action, because we don't have any way to materially support Iran. We don't have any political power, but we do need to be clear on what is the actual conflict, and it won't be resolved through negotiations. It won't be resolved through the UN, like Nina Farnia said. It is only going to be resolved through armed struggle, and Iran is clear on that, which is why I take it to its its logical conclusion, and so is the U.S. And so there is no incentive for either side to end this war, because we have one fighting a global class struggle, and then we have one fighting for the maintenance and expansion of its hegemony to impose repression on the world. And so I think we need to be clear on what is happening here. And so when we say return to the theory, it's not to return to the theory for the sake of reading, but it is to say, well, what is actually happening? How do we assess what's happening? And when we talk about capitalism, even it's the highest stage of imperialism, right? What are we actually saying when we analyze Venezuela and Cuba and Iran? Because these are not secular, distinct issues. All a part of the U.S. as an empire attempting to maintain and expand its global hegemony to control the movement of capital.
That's right.
So,
and for
yeah,
no, go ahead.
No, but I was just saying. So the war in Iran is just not one like countries fighting for its sovereignty versus another country. It is a future. It is fighting for a future beyond imperialism.
That's right. And what does that mean for us? I love that so much, because that automatically gets me to thinking, what does that mean for us in this part of the Western Hemisphere? I think this is where I've really been thinking that this is why we are not many, and by we I mean many people in this country, many working class and poor people in this country who should naturally have, because we say this all the time, all members of the working class, all members of the proletariat have more in common with each other, regardless of where they are, who they are, where they're from in this country, than they do with the ruling class. But here's the thing. Why don't people in that class, the working class, why do they have a hard time identifying themselves with the struggles of Iran, with the struggles of these other countries? Well, it's because they don't know anything about them. It's because we are all incredibly indoctrinated about other countries, because we do live in the center, in the beating heart of the imperialist giant. And it is within the interest of the empire to keep us disconnected in every way from every so-called external community outside of us, outside of the physical empire, so that we never ever connect their suffering with our deteriorating material conditions here and our suffering. So the same empire that convinces us that some of us that it's immigrants taking our jobs. So do you see why that is such an important lie right now?
You mean the immigrants
If you
they're letting back in? Didn't they just pass a policy to say, well, no,
right.
wait, hold on. It can very well take your job. That's fine. Everything else.
But right. But do you see where that lie, how useful that lie is, not just in getting, particularly the most marginalized people to support these kinds of policies about immigration and deportation domestically, but do you see how useful it is to getting the same people in this country to completely ignore this government and every politician in it, just about at every level, supporting genocides, supporting invasions, supporting occupations, supporting this war against Iran, that, yeah, we're doing a bunch of polls, oh, this is an unpopular war, but people don't understand that this is not Iran against exactly what Erica said. This isn't Iran against US and Israel. This is Iran being the line in the sand against literal socialism or barbarism. It is the expansion of people-centered, it's the expansion of people-centered human rights in whatever way sovereign nations see fit to guarantee them with their resources. That's where the capital comes in, because all social programs cost money, right? And if the United States government controls and its little brother Israel controls the flow of capital in other countries, they can't do with their resources what they want for their people. Right? So the US controlling the flow of capital, literally how nations in the region surrounding Iran and within Iran itself controls the use of their own resources that destroys any type of a so a strong social welfare system, actually socialist policies, all of the people centered supporting programs and policies, universal health care. I mean, Iran has so many social programs and medical treatment for marginalized communities like trans people that are being denied folks here, that we don't understand because we're so anti-immigrant. We have adopted this attitude that it's them that's our problem instead of the them is in Washington. The them is on Capitol Hill. The thems are on K Street. The lobbyists and the thems are in Silicon Valley. You know, the tech bros and all of the corporations now tethered openly to this U.S. regime. So these connections, it's within the interest of the empire that we continue to see this war as, you know, Iran, the U.S. versus Iran in protection of Israel. No, this is literally, and I wish we hadn't had to get here this fast, but I think most of us anti-imperialists knew that this is where we were going. This is the battle. This is the global working class struggle against capital. And the people in this country are not in it. We are not in it sufficiently. This is why we organize and organize with the urgency that you see us, that like the frustration you see from us. This is why the frustration exists, because we recognize where we are in this global working class struggle against capital, because the situation really is either the working class of the world destroys capitalism or capitalism destroys us all.
I seen someone in the chat mention Ali Qadri, and I highly recommend the primitive accumulation of waste, because that really had me rethinking what are we analyzing, right? And what are we saying? And even to the point of the way that we approach immigration or xenophobia and things like that, when we talk about like the mechanisms of propaganda, which I'm like now arguing, you know, word to Edward Said, is cultural imperialism. It's because we need to be talking about the structures of which a thing occurs. And I think we get stuck on the aftermath or the result. And that's how we begin to singular out people, right? Because now there's a big conversation around Jay-Z versus the structure that allowed Jay-Z, because we just had this conversation about Nicki and Pharrell, and it's going to be rinse and repeat, right? Because the mechanism of this class of celebrity, right? They are part of that superstructure of cultural imperialism because it sustains the economic base of capital. This is a nation that is a white supremacist, settler, colonial, capitalist nation. And in order to maintain it, they have to set up superstructures that validate all of it. So you'll get people coming out and saying, no, you know, the U.S. is great, bomb Iran, right? Including the diaspora. Including the diaspora, right? Because culture and empire, as people who are living within empire, are deeply entwined. And I know we like to think that we have our own separate culture, but our culture is engulfed in whatever this USian shit is, because we've had to create it from that, right? And so it's not like it was a base, a neutral base to start, right? We had to develop culture out of that, because what we came with was ripped from us. We came here as slaves. We didn't come here fully recognized human beings. So whatever we had to maintain was on the basis of a foundation of settler colonialism and white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
And so manifests into now is a complete capture of it. So when people talk about what is Black culture in the US? What is that? And when we talk about that, it's symbolic, but it's nothing ethical. Right? And so when we look at how easily people can be pro-war, it's because the ethics. There is no ethics there culturally because it is framed within the U.S. And one of our
genocidal ethics.
Go back and fetch. That is why they say return to the source.
Return to the source. This is not the source.
Because when we talk about the importance of culture, and when we talk about like the co-optation of culture, yeah, we can make that criticism, but also what are we pointing people towards, right? Things existed before all of this. So how do we return to the source, and what is that process? Because that is where the clarity lies.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is, as soon as we begin to detach ourselves from this shit, we see a lot more clearer. We see that, them people might not be our enemies. Maybe we should not be blockading Cuba. You know, it becomes more clear the more you begin to detach yourself. And I think to Trump's credit, because he is so overtly monstrous, no one wants to attach themselves to that, right? But as organizers, this is a moment for not opportunism, but to grasp that and move the people in a particular direction. Because we could all just be sitting here naming all the things that are being done. But if we are not explaining or at least communicating the why, we're not moving anyone forward. We're not moving ourselves forward. And so we'll always be coming back here to, I don't understand why people don't do this. And I don't understand why people are just too busy. You know, this particular narratives that arise because it is only a surface kind of level not even really an understanding, but a approach to phenomena.
Yeah.
Because it's all, when we talk about dialectics, that's it. Continuous phenomena. Things are always going to be happening. As we talk now, things are happening. You know, nothing stops movement. Right. So how are we analyzing things? Because things don't just move. Something made it move. And so that's what we need to be. How did we get here? And then what does that mean for us? Because if I'm saying clearly that it's so long as they can make money off the liquefied natural gas, and they are, look at the stocks, y'all. Look at the stocks. Nobody's down.
Yep. And
right? So
not only
hand over fist. You know, and that's the point.
Yep.
But
and
so
not
incentive to lower gas prices or any of that, which represses us, which means that the logical conclusion of that is that we hit in the streets. We're mobilizing. We're shouting it down, which means more repression. There's ICE at the airport. There's National Guard still on our streets. They never left. They never left.
That's right.
And so this is what internally, our imposition as internally colonized people is only going to heighten. Contradiction is only going to heighten. So it behooves us to stand with the working class people of the world. And so I think that's where we need to be insisting people understand the objective conditions of what's actually occurring versus analyzing things one spectacle at a time, because the spectacles, y'all, are just going to keep coming. And that is where we get overwhelmed, because you can't make high or low of any of it because they're just throwing it at you. And so if you don't even understand the mechanism of which, how it's even getting thrown at you, then it's going to be overwhelming. So when we say study, it's not like, you know, some superior thing. I don't got no college. I'm a dropout. And
Mm-hmm.
I tell you this, every time there's a study session on That's Capital, I'm in there. I'm in there. Anytime they have a study session on some of these things that I want to understand more, I'm in there. I ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
So not to say that I have any kind of free time, Jack. I have no time. I have to leave her
What
because I'm
time?
volunteering. I'm a paid volunteer. I can't stay the whole hour, right? But I'm saying that these things are as important to us as the people who are currently getting bombs dropped on them.
That's right.
Understanding the objective contradiction, the primary contradiction, is as important to us as it is for the people who are currently getting bombs dropped on them. So we have to be very, very clear about that. And we have to be disciplined in wanting that knowledge and what it takes for that. Because organizers organize people to empower themselves to organize. I can't organize for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I always stress, like, how do we go from awareness to consciousness? Because consciousness moves people.
Right. Right. Yep. Once you know a thing, once the veil is pulled back enough for you to see the gaping maw underneath, most people are like, what the fuck? I didn't know it was that bad. Oh my God, what can I do? That is what learning the truth of what this system really is does to some people. Who, for other people, it terrifies them into inaction. I think it's true. I've seen that too. And that is just a part of it. You cannot, as an organizer, you can't control what people do with the information you help them understand, but you will never know what the impact of that information and the truth will have on people if you don't give it to them. There's no shortcut to this. We don't control what happens with the knowledge, but once we have the knowledge, we do control where it goes. We do control how it's used, and we should, and too many times we don't. But also, Erica, I think there is a misunderstanding or a not clear. Okay, let me say it this way. I have been really thinking about the physical geography of this country. Like literally the way this joint is laid out physically.
I'm
Why it
obsessed
was
now.
created the way it was. Like what all of the space and the different states and the borders and the different cultures and the different people are different in different areas of the country, and we're talking what 2,500 miles from coast to coast. The middle of the country is sparsely populated with largely one group of people who do not live around anybody who is not like them, who do not have a real insight into life that exists in this country that is similar to the way they live. They see people on each coast as a bunch of aliens because they don't live near those people. They don't have any insight into, what it's like to live in a big city that is very diverse on the coast with a million, millions of people in it. Those are real material, because we're always talking about dialectics and material conditions.
Right.
I don't know that we've paid as much attention to the physical, geographical, material reality of how people exist in this country and the role that plays in how difficult it is to organize in this country. Because I think, and this is a guess, but I think that is something that may be understudied or understood about left organizing in this country. And it's not, it's I haven't arrived at a complete, I don't know, hypothesis about that yet, but there are thoughts that, because I've really been thinking, like, especially after I came from Venezuela and I'm listening to folks, tell these people in Venezuela over and over again, oh, most Americans don't want what this government has done to you. And I'm sitting there like, but yes, they do. Because they really think that these people are evil. They don't know anything about anybody who's not like them. I don't think we realize we don't know Americans. Like, we who are so-called organized, I don't think we really know who we're dealing with in this country. And I think not understanding the geography of the population disbursement in this country is a big part of that reason. But I don't know, maybe I'm off the
Yeah.
mark. Oh.
Well, no, well, to Marx, I was going to even talk about that because once I get on my tangent, everybody's getting a phone call. What do you think about this? Hey, what do you? What's your thoughts on the nation state? But that makes me think about enclosure. So I do think like Harry Haywood and others have kind of theorized this with the black belt thesis a bit, to your point, right? And how are we even understanding the mechanisms of enclosures? Because we talked a lot about borders as it relates to a larger, sort of broader political economy, right? But we don't talk about it as an internal kind of structure.
Right.
So when we think about what is the mechanism or the use of enclosures, and we talk about like, when we name that we are internally colonized and we name certain impositions of social structures, like how sanctions, we could, if we wanted to stretch it, sanctions are that sort of, the food deserts or welfare reform, etc. Like the things that limit or cut off our communities and strangulate it. We talk about the economic and political sort of capture of our communities. Those are all happening within enclosures that allow for the sort of occupation and monitoring, if you will, and control of our communities, how we move and don't move. So to your point, I do think that's probably something that we should maybe expand on. I know I don't want to shout, I don't want to say nothing about Petro's writing on something right now. But that's what made me think about that, because he is kind of touching on that a bit in the piece that he shared with me. So I do think it is worth expanding on. And I also think Dr. CBS, with the strategic location of Blackness, names this a bit, right? Why, where, and how. And so again, I do think, and she does that in Black Scare, Red Scare. Shout out to that incredible work. Incredible works, because I have been reading that in tandem with, like, if I read a text, I'm like, what did she say? She names it right there too. Her and Walter White. But I say that to say that I do think it helps us kind of understand the dynamics of the terrain of which we're organizing under. Because to your point, when you read books like Hammer and Hoe, first things that they had to do. And so when we talk about power mapping as well, like, you really actually have to understand the terrain of which you are attempting to organize. And so to say that, like, you don't necessarily have to be in that city, but you also need to understand, how does that city function? So we really are obsessed with maps as of late. One, I think they're highly useful. Highly useful, because even when we talk about, like, globally, as we're talking about West Asia, people really couldn't point to where Iran is. People are still calling Iran Arabs. So, like, so there's that distinction, and there's a huge ignorance. There's a huge ignorance of geography in the U.S. because we're not actually made to know. Everyone else around the world has to know, and you'd be surprised how much of U.S. Politics people around the world actually know and understand, more so than we do. But we are never ever made to know anything about any other country beyond what we're told. So, like, even when we say the regime, we're like, what is the regime? Who's the makeup? Name two people.
Right.
And when you talk to, like, ask anybody who just flippantly says regime. Oh, who's in the regime? Is a regime now one person? Only one person makes up a regime, because that's how it's positioned. The evil regime becomes Putin, Maduro. It becomes a man. because nobody can actually explain the makeup of the damn governments. They have
Right.
no idea, and we don't need to, right? Because that's part of that cultural imperialism, the way that we are taught geography, our schooling. I mean, how many people believe that the U.S. won World War II?
Man, woo! I just
Roman,
had a conversation like that a couple of weeks ago where I was actually somebody who was older than me. We're like, well, I don't understand this, slide into fascism because we defeated the fascists. And I spat my coffee out. I think I almost choked up. Like, wait a minute, huh? You don't know? And by the time I got finished describing just Operation Paperclip, they were pretty much ready to, and it was a family member too, pretty much ready to disown me.
listen. But I do think it is important for us to really begin to dig in and have discipline, because I think it's also habitual to just react. And so, like, even on this platform, sometimes I'm like, please don't just send me a story. Let me be prepared, because I'm not a commentator. Right? And so I don't want to just comment on a thing, especially just loosely. Because we do have people who are listening. We do have people who are coming here for a particular kind of political analysis. I want to be at least prepared to give it. And in most instances, because I know what I'm talking about. But but I would like to be, I would like to encourage that kind of, let's pause before we speak. Because it's not enough of that. It is just reaction, right? And because we're reacting, we're missing the whole forest for one tree. One tree. Like, we'll be talking about oil reserves without ever mentioning that the U.S. has bypassed all of that. They have liquefied natural gas, which was a large part of the importance of capturing Maduro, because of how large the liquefied natural gas, the resources there it is. Because that's the dragon deal with Trinidad and Tobago, is dependent on that natural gas, which would give incentive for Kamala in Trinidad and Tobago to put the radar there on Tobago's land to capture Maduro. So again, none of these things are happening in silos or separately, the same way we talk about the USS Gerald leaving Venezuela and heading to Iran, right? And now they can't use it anymore because, one, they've never maintained that ship for years because the military has no budget, surprisingly, right? All this money to war, and who knows where it goes? Who knows?
Man, if you knew how they treated all that multi-billion-dollar equipment when they're not dropping on it, if you knew how little they give a damn about that shit.
And then, allegedly there's some, fight back from soldiers that are purposely clogging toilets and purposely fucking up the ship. But these are all alleged rumors, but the ship is no good now. And this is what I mean in terms of the U.S. has military limitations, because we do not have an industry or workforce that could re-up in the same way that a China could, or even Iran, or even Iran. We have abilities, which was a large part of the push for the tariffs.
And I'm looking at the time, and we don't even realize, I think this government just made it so that they can automatically sign men 18 and older up for selective service automatically. You can't vote by mail, even though Donald Trump just did. But because the Department of Defense is seeing record low recruitment numbers, and we talked about this last year on this show, a couple of how low the recruitment numbers are for every armed service That was true a couple of years ago before Trump. It's worse now. So now this government has basically created an automatic sign up for every male in this country who turns 18 to selective service. What you think that is? What do you think? Why do you think they did that now? Because they know nobody is going to sign up to go to war, to go to fight this war for them. So they're going to do the same thing that they've been doing in Ukraine without actually snatching people off the street like they do it in Ukraine. This is just the first step. And if you think those people in those detention centers are not going to be thrown into, yeah, they are too. So that all of this is dialectical materialism. It's looking at the connections between everything and the material conditions as they exist and as they change, and asking why things are connected, how they got here, who did it, what's the point. And that's how we know how to fight it, how to fight the actual enemy and who the real enemy is, not just who they tell us to focus on.
It's diabolical.
I just want to name, shout out to Black and Mama Dude. That was a great live on Iran. Yeah. And then also the episode with Black Mix and Berkham. Like, I think Berkham has been around on the pods. I highly suggest listening to that. And I think Ali Qadri was just recently on the Malcolm Effect. So like the language that I've used in explaining certain things like primitive accumulation and things like that, they really break that down in a more, I think, coherent, more than me, probably, in a more coherent and precise way that really helps us understand that there are mechanisms here that exist, right? And we should begin to understand the mechanisms and not so much the results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Nice. Have a great rest of your day, Miss Kings. And we're going to take a quick break right here and come back with some more right here on No Other Than the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, y'all. Remix Morning Show is here to rescue. Big up to all y'all tuning in, rocking out with Black Liberation Media. We have a bunch of dope shows. One being this one that comes on every weekday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And a bunch of other shows. Actually, a whole nother show that I'm a part of, but I wanted to throw a quick spotlight on. I rarely do. But we're talking about classical breakdown. If you haven't seen the last one, we were able to do Salt and Pepper. We had a guest host come through by the name of Minister Server. Let's see how that went.
I ain't going out like a sucker. And if you think so, boy, then pucker up.
Sis, go on the mic and make a wish.
Woo! What a time. Now, Kim, you were too little to really be in the club partying.
Oh, yes.
But my God, what a time.
Yeah, come on. Now, Minister Server, talk about it, because listen, y'all like to dance. I'm sure that, like, yes. I can only imagine the cats was in the club doing the kid and play kickstep.
Oh man, doing everything, you know. And again, it's like during that era, I was a junior in college, and man, I was at Wilberforce University at HBCU. So you can imagine, like we had literally every single Friday and Saturday as a party in the student union, and because then even the so-called Hard Brothers was dancing. You know what I'm saying? It was a dance thing. It wasn't like you was too cool to dance. No. In fact, the better you dance, the more women you was attracting to you.
Talk that talk, Minister Server. Boy, we used to dance. We used to sweat back in the clubs and the parties. We ain't have no phones. All we had to do was listen to the music and look at people. People watch. It was a good old time. All right, make sure y'all check out that last classical breakdown, and make sure y'all tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. for classical breakdown as we do Sade, which is going to be very dope. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew. You know how we do.
gotta say, I do miss that heavy bass at the bottom. I miss that, and it's the 808s helps a little bit, but it's not the same. It's not the same, is it?
Yeah, it's not. Well, when you're thinking about trap music, or when you hear that real heavy 808 bass, like now, it's very much slower. When you heard it before, it was faster, so
Yeah.
it made you dance. And we don't have dance music like that. That's why the other day I said one of my favorite producers now is Pharrell. Even though y'all might not, some people might not like his politics, he got people back on the dance floor dancing, because everybody was just sitting up on the wall just singing the raps and not dancing. And once the phones came into the parties, it was a
Yeah.
wrap, man. It was a wrap.
Yeah. My little bit of time in the clubs, clubbing was fun. But I think I got in my early to mid 20s. That was what I graduated high school in 85. So we're talking about late 80s, early 90s, when it was that, like, almost the end of that dance era, where I think I really did see this transition between everybody going to the club to dance and have a good time. And of course, you pick up a little extracurricular activity to go home. Okay, fine. But we're at the club and we're dancing and we're having fun. Everybody danced.
Yeah.
But then there was this slow transition to everybody just kind of showing up, posting up, and posing just to be. And I remember a friend of mine at the time telling me, we went to one of these New Year's Eve, the big well, I guess they're not even corporate
a
sponsored.
gala?
Yeah, like one of these private New Year's Eve galas that these, small companies or whatever put on. So we go to one, and I never have been a scantily clad.
Scantily clad.
I've always been very subdued about, and for no reason, just me. And it was funny because we were all having a good time. It was the three of us. I'm just dancing. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying myself. And my friend, who is a guy, comes over, and we were with another one of our friends who is a young woman. But he comes over to me and he's like, "Jackie, look around. Look at all these women in here." He's like, "First of all, you are one of the oldest women." He's like, "And second, if you're not one of the oldest, look, you are the most covered up of the women in here." And he said, "And look around. None of these women are dancing. A couple of them might be, somewhere doing a little two-step, but you are the only person in this ballroom out of hundreds of people who are here actually dancing and sweating and having a good time." He's like, women, he didn't even say women. He said, "Girls don't do this no more."
Nah.
And I looked at him, I'm like, but I'm a grown ass woman and I paid my money. So
and you know about pneumonia weather. Like, if you sweat too much and you scantily clad, you're gonna go outside and freeze your ass off if you try to dance and get sweaty. But
well, that's why you book a hotel a room in the hotel.
Okay,
so you don't have to go because you're an adult.
Oh man, yeah. But I remember the whole circles we used to have in the club when people would jump up and dance, battle, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So it was a good time. I mean, that's what it is. We got I believe Renee Johnston gonna be dropping in a minute.
Ooh.
So we got some extra coverage on the departure of Ricky Ryan, aka Erica Kane. As a matter of fact, speaking of the goddess, Renee Johnston.
Oh, yay! No.
I could have said the other word, huh?
Oh boy.
But that laugh is kind of devilish. I ain't gonna hold
you. I don't quite know what I walked into, but
you talking about how you used to dance in the dance hall. You used to do this right here. Y'all remember doing that, Renee? That Shaba. I am the best. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, that was good times right there, boy. And the guys, all we had to do was stand behind and just do this while the girls was. That was just like bass music. When I moved to Florida, when you listen to Luke and them, all the guys had to do was stand against the wall while the girls was bam, 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 bam.
Now that I did not like. That's what I started to see happening, and I'm like,
Right. I'm like, that's actually a
what
shift.
are y'all doing?
That was not like if you couldn't dance, I wasn't dancing with you.
Yeah,
no, we're not doing that. We're not doing.
But in reggae, that's like you.
No.
Oh no,
turn around and put that booty on the
I'm
guy.
not turning around and putting this booty on nobody. No, nobody's getting the booty on them.
Renee, come on now. You know that's part of the winding right there. You whine.
But the man also whined. It wasn't.
Yeah, true.
You're standing still and
right.
I'm doing the work. That's not how it. No.
Like you providing him a service. I hated it.
Right.
When I saw that happening, I'm like, oh, is this what we doing now? Like 3 or 4 dudes just kind of hanging out, standing there. You know, looking down at what was going on. And the women are just, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Jackie, now guys are jumping from ladders, jumping on women while they're on the floor. It is wow. Like y'all know, that's how they do it, like the reggae concerts and parties and stuff like that. They're jumping off of bars, jumping on the women. Yo, is wow. You seen that, Renee?
No.
What? Oh, it is.
No,
wow.
I need a video. I
will find one. Well, let me get out of here and go find one, and I'll let y'all get to it.
Because that sounds like a cage match in the club to me, which is not a bad idea now that I've said it.
Right. But.
Oh well, thanks for stepping in at the last minute, and glad to see you and. In this final 13,978th episode of the final season of the American Empire.
You know what? You should actually calculate a number, though. You should, like, if every day is an episode since the Empire started. We should do that. We should do that. Like, everybody's all excited about 250 years.
Yeah. So how many days are into it?
3, you figure you got to count for the 66 every 4th. It's a little bit of math you're going to have to do, but we have to do that math, I think.
Yeah. We have to get our episodes right.
Right.
Because we're going to have to document this for future generations so they never do this again.
Right.
Do not do this again.
Right. And on the way home just now, I was watching some AI Lego version of a rap song out of Iran. And I was
the loser video?
Yeah. That's it.
Listen.
Jackie.
Let me give this disclaimer first. I am opposed. I won't say opposed because that's a lie, and it's still Lent season, and I'm trying to be a good Christian, but war propaganda is bad. I'm not gonna celebrate. I'm not gonna be like, woo, war propaganda. However, Iran is righteous. Iran is righteous. Okay? They are righteous in this. They are right. They were attacked. It was an unprovoked attack. They were minding their business. Iran has every right to defend themselves. They can target whatever the hell they want. As far as I'm concerned, set it alight. Please. Yes. Now, having said that, that video is fucking fire, y'all. I'm sorry. That video.
I was dead. I'm like, that. What is happening?
It is. And I have to say that I am pretty sure those videos, because that wasn't the first one. They've produced a couple of them, but I'm not sure if that's the first long music video with a dedicated song. in all of this. I think that's like a reflection of the Iranian youth, because the old men in the government, they ain't that fly.
No.
They are not that fly. So shout out to the Iranian youth.
Right. Whoever is behind that, shout out to you. And using the Legos, using the Lego people is like, it's just it's just
I mean, we're talking about 5,000 years of the dozens, though.
Right.
Like these people have been dealing with imperialist attempted invaders for 5,000 years.
Right.
So they have a long history of talking shit to losers who think they gonna come into their country and run some shit.
Yeah.
So they have all of the moral authority and the right and the whatever to do this. Good on them. Good on them, and keep it up.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I digressed because I literally just listened to it and I was laughing so hard that I had to say it out loud because
it's just and the thing is, when I watch US television and I watch US politicians, and I realize that US politicians are like the real live cartoon characters of the modern era. I'm not kidding. US politicians are like Marvel, the comic Marvel villains. Right. They are the most unserious, dangerous people on the planet.
Yes. And it becomes more obvious with people's creativity. Like I saw an AI version of Trump as what was the villain's name in the Austin Powers movies? Mr. with the bald head, and it was it was Trump's face on Mr. Evil's body at the table, and it was the whole "I'm just gonna take Cuba," and I was like, does anyone? Yes, Dr. Evil. Thank you, Dre. Does anyone in what, like, I don't know if you could truly appreciate it if you weren't into the Austin Powers thing when it first came out. Like, I don't know if anybody could understand how truly comical it is that he is actually behaving like an evil person in a movie. Like, it's the craziest.
And he, we know he takes himself very seriously, and I don't like to focus on the one person, because he's one deranged lunatic in US politics, but let's stop acting like all the other politicians aren't deranged lunatics too, and always have been. He is just the deranged lunatic who has been and is used to all of the media attention, right? Because that's who he is as a person, right? But every US politician has supported these kinds of policies the entire time, the whole time. So to claim, and listen, the focus of these, propaganda videos against the US, of focusing on Trump, that is accurate, of course, because he's the one pushing the button right now.
He's there right now. Right.
He's the one pushing the button right now. But the Iranians are also very, very clear that it is not just Trump, because if they thought the problem was just Trump, sure, they would have negotiated with him by now just to get him to stop.
Right. But they understand that this is an ongoing fight, and they have to make sure that they maintain their defensibility. 100%.
That's right.
100%.
So Iran is very much like, we're going to deal with Trump. But the larger reason we are not going to negotiate with these people, other than the fact that they're a bunch of liars and they did this in the first place, and we don't negotiate with terrorists who are still currently terrorizing us.
Right.
But we also understand that whenever this man is gone, this empire will still try to maintain and expand the hegemony that got us to this point, and we are cutting that off.
Yep.
So it's an interesting time, and
it really is. It really, and I think about us now as we look back like 50, 60 years, and we talk about like Malcolm and Luther King and the civil rights movement, and looking at it historically, looking at the Black Panthers, looking at SNCC, like all these different things. And I wonder to myself, in 60 years, are people going to look back at right now and be like, what was wrong? Like, what happened? Like, what is going? Because I feel like there are people obviously doing the work, right? Like, obviously there are people doing the work. And I wonder about our capability to move the needle in a way that it is understood that there were people doing the work. Because it feels very overwhelming right now. Like, it feels very much like you standing at the bottom of a cavern, like screaming up. And maybe people catch a hint of the echo that something's happening, but they don't know where it's coming from. They don't know who's doing it. It feels so, sometimes it feels very, because people are so, I don't like to use the word afraid, because not wanting to lose your position so that you can continue to feed your children is a valid thought process, right? Mm-hmm. But I think all the time, like, the amount of people who I know have to be like, this is not right. Like, this situation, but they're just prodding along because it's easier to prod along, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the part of it that I'm like, how do we fix that part? Because that's the part of it that I feel like is the massive problem. And, maybe it's just me talking. So
no, I mean, we were actually talking, me and Erica were actually talking about that in the first hour before you came on. And because I was bringing up how I don't think that we understand the country we live in, and I'm trying to be more careful about taking ownership, laying claim. This ain't our country, you know what I mean? But I don't think we're clear about the country we live in and the people who live in this country, and I mean that in a very literal way. We don't understand.
I agree.
Geographic reality about how people are separated or distributed in this country, and what that separation or distribution, the physical material placement of people and where people live and who they live around. I don't think we understand how much that impacts how people 100%. See and understand things.
100%.
Right? When you put that on top of the propaganda and indoctrination that we are all subjected to from cradle to grave, and we know that we got to this point in our understanding because we had to undo that indoctrination, and it took some kind of impetus for us to even begin to think about, well, maybe that's not right.
Right.
And that impetus was different for all of us. Right. When you look at the layers, right? You look at the indoctrination, the in public school education, how we're not taught the full and whole and true history of this country, how it was founded, the horrors that were committed, and the legacy that we all live with because of what was done that was never reconciled. You put that on top of the actual laws that were passed to separate people, the sundown towns, the Jim Crow, the not just the de jure segregation by the law, but the de facto segregation in the North and the West that wasn't backed up by any law, but they did it anyway because that was the custom.
Right.
So that was as violently enforced. The socially understood segregation was just as violently enforced by regular people as the Jim Crow laws were enforced by the law. Do you understand what I mean? So you put that on top of the indoctrination from cradle to grave, the lack of understanding the history of this country, the physical separation that was created by law or practice or custom, and the separation that was maintained through violence. All of it was maintained and established through violence.
Yep.
And then you look at the physical way that people exist, as we were saying earlier. Most of the population in this country are on the coasts. So people in the middle of the country are living in states that are much more sparsely populated than the states on the coast. Those states in the middle of the country are less racially diverse for a reason, right? The how it got this way, I think, is very important to understanding why it is so difficult for people in some parts of this country to identify with, understand, agree with, or give a shit about things that people on the coasts, in the South, or in any state or neighborhood in which they do not live.
Right.
Especially when it affects people who are not like them.
Yep.
I'm beginning to have these kinds of thoughts, these ideas about, okay, what if we are really off the mark? Not necessarily off the mark, but what if our focus on what if the racism that we know is a part of this phenomenon is more easily maintained and entrenched because of this geographic, this literal physical separation.
Oh, it definitely is.
Right? Like,
because if you never see a Black person except what you see on TV, right? Like, what else? Like, how would you grow to understand that what you see on TV is not an accurate representation of what all Black people are like, right? Like, why would you even contemplate that? And there is, and I think people, as we have this conversation, I have this conversation a lot around a lot of people, like, Black people is still only like 14% of the population, right? Like, I try to remind people all the time, like, there are almost 400 million people in this country. And of the 400 million, like 44 million are Black. Like, it's not a lot of us, right? And so when the situation is of such that you have this vastly smaller population upon which you can do these things, like you can incarcerate, you can joblessness, homelessness, you can offer the military as the way out and send them somewhere else to go kill other Black and brown people, and then they come back and they have all kinds of trauma. Like, people, I don't think people quite understand how small we are like, as a group of people in the country. And it allows for exactly the thing that you're talking about, because there is a vast amount of space where there literally are no Black people.
Yes.
Zero.
Yes. No Black people, no Indigenous people. Think about that. Dear
Right.
God. Think about that. How I keep getting the possible estimated number of people, of Indigenous people genocided, when this place, when them people
Right.
came over here. Tens of millions of
Yes.
people.
Yes.
Tens of millions of,
Yes.
and there are now states where there are no indigenous.
Right.
How
And
so?
when you consider the Trail of Tears and the amount of indigenous people who died
Mm-hmm,
along
mm-hmm.
that trip of being forced out of their land to some place where we're going to let you live here now.
Right,
Right?
right. We're going to let you live here where you can't grow anything. We have killed almost all of your traditional source of sustenance, the buffalo. I mean, the genocide of the indigenous was so completely thought out that
Mm-hmm.
these people knew that the buffalo was the primary source of everything
Mm-hmm.
for most indigenous communities. So what did they do? They slaughtered almost all of the buffalo
Mm-hmm.
to starve the indigenous, to weaken them so that they could
Right.
kill them. And that's a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah. But you
but
think
like,
about it, right? But think about how this translates into Black communities now, right?
mhm.
Where you actually have a term called a food desert, right? Like, I mean,
Girl. And see, this is the thing. When we have these conversations, when we organizers have these kind of conversations, or we're in these learning kinds of, we do still go to teach-ins ourselves and study circles, and yeah, we read books together, and when we make these kinds of connections, that's always my response, like, oh my God, how did we miss this? Like,
right,
Jesus Christ.
right.
But then when I do more study, I always find out, no, we didn't miss it. We
It
actually
would,
talked about this before. Somebody actually documented
yes,
this before. We just didn't pay attention to it, because
yes.
everything I'm saying actually does exist in the in what Erica named the black belt thesis of New Africa. They
Mm-hmm.
they do talk about some of this,
Yeah.
and it can be frustrating, but I also temper that frustration with what you just pointed out, Renee. We are 14, somewhere between, give or take a year, 13 to 14% of the population, or give or take a decade every census. For about 44 million, 40 to 44 million of us. But in that 44 million, that's all of us. That's men, women, adults, and children.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now you take away the children. Now you've got,
Oh,
I don't know how much. So
I
now you
think it's
got
like
less than
18.
40.
I think it's like 18 million are above 30, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got, we're and this is the thing that I wrestle with. While I understand that there has never been a revolution that has been successful in the history of revolutions around the world, that has ever been carried out by a majority of the population, or at least started by a majority of the population that needed to be liberated, right? Most revolutions are organized and propelled by a small percentage of the oppressed population, and I mean small. And it's usually after the opening salvo of whatever the struggle is that more people get involved. But that's just been kind of the history of revolution. But at the same time, in most of those countries, the geographical and historical realities are very different from those of this country.
Right.
So I think about that. And then I also think about what you're bringing up, we're expecting a percentage of maybe 20 million people, a very small percentage of maybe 20 million people in this country, to raise the consciousness of, to make prime for organization, to build a mass movement, to compel a revolution. We're expecting a small percentage of 20 million people to raise the consciousness of 350 million.
Right. It's a big, and that's what I'm saying about being at the bottom of a cavern screaming up. And like somebody up there can hear the echo, right? But how do you do it? And and people, I'm a very firm believer in the oppression of capitalism, right? And so when I say, like, there are people who simply don't have the capacity to participate in even trying to understand why they don't have the capacity to understand something, right? Because if from the minute you wake up, I gotta get to my first job, I gotta get my kids fed, I gotta get to my second job, and did somebody pick my kid up from school, and did they make it home okay? And then you're working 2 jobs. Like, I feel like it's very easy to be like, you can make time to do something. But I know that sounds real good from the outside to say that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this is, no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, okay, go ahead. I was just thinking out that's my thought, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is where organization, I know, you knew I was going here, but this is why organization is important, because organization allows you to replicate yourself, replicate the ideas, to replicate. This is why there needs to be, this is why we need to be outside. This is why there needs to be communication and collaboration with people who are doing the work in these different areas. This is why there needs to be clarity on what imperialism and capitalism and anti-imperialism and anti-capitalism, what those things mean, and what it is we are actually fighting. Because we understand that, not everybody is able to meet the moment in the same way that we are. Like, I think I'm one of those weird examples. I do not like saying to people, you can find time to do it, because look, the only reason I continue to organize through everything that I went through is because organization and the people who I organize with kept me sane. Really, they were the only, other than my family, they were the only support I had, and these people are pretty much the reason I am still here, and I am still thinking kind of coherently, right? So that's not why you get into an organization. You should not get into organization to find community, but sometimes the community in an organization shows up, and it should. Right. It absolutely should. But that is also how you help people. You help people expand their capacity. I know these are words that.
No, but what you're saying makes total sense. And I think really what I'm trying to think through is you have to take that into consideration as you're trying to meet people where they are, right? Mm-hmm. So when someone says, like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't have time to do these things, is that I got to do this, I have 3 jobs, right? Then how do you help that person find the space to take a few minutes on a regular basis to try and expand the thing that they know, right? Mm-hmm. So it's more, it's not, I don't say it to give people a cop out, like, people don't have time, so leave them alone. I say it because as people who are trying to get other people to engage in this very real process of reading and learning and understanding and building and all these things, you have to be able to engage people in a way that gives them the space to do the thing that you're hoping for them to do. Because it's very easy to get overwhelmed by capitalism, and that's the point. Like the point is to make you feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, this is why organization needs to be not this like esoteric thing that we don't, we can't put our finger. No, you talk about and you do concrete things to meet people's needs. Like when we do public events, we know we're going to do the events in the evening if it's during the week because we work. Most of us work, and we can't do the events any other time until we get off work. So we realize, okay, we have to eat. We have to feed our kids. Why don't we have an event where we make sure we provide childcare and food so that the people that we want to come to this event to learn this information about why they need 3 jobs to survive is not good. Why don't we take care of a couple of things that they don't have to worry about? Dinner and childcare. So they can just have some time to relax.
Exactly.
And just sit and listen. Real concrete things. I don't know what the needs are for organizing people in the Midwest, because I'm not from the Midwest, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can tell people how to organize folks in the Midwest. I like to garden, but I'm not a farmer or a rancher. And I would imagine that you would have to approach farmers and ranchers in Montana with a different kind of conversation that I can approach somebody living in the projects over here on Mississippi Avenue with. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, these are the kinds of things that we have to, when we're talking about how we replicate the message, how we replicate this organization, how we replicate and reach people we are not connected to. It's not a one answer thing. It is a multifaceted answer, but I don't think the answer has a limited number of responses either, because we are talking about tailoring responses to different groups of people who have different needs. So, okay, in Washington, D.C., our public PE events might need childcare and food, but maybe that need is not so. And I'm just using that as an easy kind of example that we can all relate to, because we all eat, and most of us either have kids or know people who have kids and know that little kids, they need to be engaged too. You can't just have them sitting in a room because they ain't gonna sit still for 2 hours. I don't want to sit still I don't sit still for the 2 hours I do this show. So that those kind of needs might not be what folks in the Midwest need for teach-ins, right? So what do they need? What is going to bring those people to an event where you can have these conversations about capitalism for the ranching community in places like Montana and Wyoming? But how does the same organization or same effort have the same conversation about the exploitation and unfairness and injustice of capitalism with service workers in New Jersey? It's the same conversation.
Right.
And it's the same group of people having the same conversation, but they're having to have the conversation with different groups of people. So that conversation and the way it is presented to those different groups of people have to be understood for those conversations to be effective.
And they have to be understood for the people in Montana to be willing to step up when the people in New Jersey need support. Like, there also has to be that tie-in of, like, yes, this is why capitalism hits you this way, but understand that it's literally the same problem that they're having in New Jersey. And it's all the same monster that's at the top of it. Like it's really it's almost like fascinating to really think on how differently these things like hit people depending on where you are, right? Like why it's there, what the issue is, how it's impacting you, why it's different, why the impact in Montana is different than the impact in New Jersey. It's something. But I wonder if Air Doctor knows.
I think he is different. He's very different.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Right. And I was sitting back here wondering, pondering, might I say, is one of the most successful revolutions, would it be the Haitian Revolution? Would it be the Maroons in Jamaica and Suriname? Would those be closest to the most successful revolutions?
Well, define most successful.
I was
asking the question in my head. What do we?
Okay, well, like we'll say like this Maroons in like Suriname and Jamaica. They went to the mountains and had their own area. Would that be a successful revolution?
But you have to consider where that is now, right? So, for example, in Jamaica, there is a massive battle happening in cockpit country because they don't want the Maroons to maintain their sovereignty on the island. And they have too much bauxite on their part of the island. And even though it's like the mining of the bauxite is literally creating it's like creating the worst health and environmental stuff. Like it's awful. And it's going to impact the water. And the water that comes from that area is the water that literally allows for like 3/4 of the island to have fresh water. So all of these things, like, is it successful because at the moment when that revolution happened, they were able to gain some level of sovereignty, some level of being able to have their own space? Or are we looking at the success as right now they're in the middle of a battle with the Jamaican PM, who's a piece of shit anyway, but like about maintaining their sovereignty, about fighting to make sure they keep their land? And are you going to change your definition of their success based on how this particular battle in the moment plays out?
Yeah, because if you talk about maintaining or at the moment, yeah, I think that's the difference, because over time, yeah, I don't. Even you point to Haiti, like it was successful at the time, but now look at Haiti.
And this is why I reject the entire framing.
Yeah, that's what makes it. Yeah,
this is why, because we tend to like to rank things. Because that's a very Western kind of, because everything is a damn competition. Everything is a competition. Everything has to be rated. And the truth about revolution in the context of capitalism and empire in particular, because empire has been around longer than capitalism has, revolution never ends. So once you have changed the material conditions of your oppression, once you have flipped those conditions, now you're going to have to defend what you've won. And you're going to have to defend what you've won from the resurgence of every empire that wants to take your stuff. Revolution is a never-ending process. I would like to think that humanity will get to a point where we can all live together in peace, and not as long as capitalism is alive.
No.
So a successful revolution, that's kind of a term that I don't. It's revolution,
right?
It is
and
revolution.
Then even and when you consider, you said Haiti, part of the reason that Haiti is always under fire is because of that revolution.
Because
right?
of the revolution.
Because they had the audacity then, right? That's why they sent like that documentary, which I still haven't seen the first 20 minutes of, where he explains how they came with the guns and forced the leadership in Haiti to sign over their sovereignty, right? Like when you consider how all of these things played out and recognize like the battle is constant. There's a reason that they're sending drones to Haiti, right? There's a and it's because you don't ever want something like that to reemerge. Not from the imperialist side, right? Like they're trying their damnedest to make sure that whatever people on the ground in Haiti are ready to tear that shit up, they were like, we got to find a way to stop this from happening. But I also am a firm believer, like once people understand, I don't know how much stopping there is once you really get people to understand. I don't know how much stopping there is.
Well, there isn't. I mean, because I actually think Haiti is a perfect example because but so is China, so is Venezuela, so is Cuba, so is Nicaragua. The AES is an example of if once you realize, it's an empire we have to fight. It's the capitalists we have to fight. And once you successfully rid your land of them, they will always make you pay for kicking them out. That is why Haiti continues to be assaulted by the US. That's also why Cuba continues to be assaulted. Why Venezuela? Because they said we don't want you controlling us. So like I said, once you have successfully severed a dependent relationship with the empire, with the settler colonists, with the capitalists, they will always make you pay.
Where was Idi Amin?
For breaking up with them.
Where was Idi Amin? What country was that?
What was that? Why did you bring up Idi Amin?
Well, were you talking about severing ties with empire? Wasn't that part of what he was like, keep all the white people out and we're going to do our own thing? In a way like how Teray is saying now?
Who? What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What? How did we get to Idi Amin in Uganda? Yes, I know.
No, I was reading it because it was asking the question about what country it was. So it's Uganda. So what does it look like for Uganda now? Are they? Because when we was talking about Haiti, like Haiti did the revolution, and ever since then, America has been on them like, oh, word that y'all ain't having that shit again. So like in Uganda, back when Idi Amin was like, we kicking all y'all out, and this is our country. How has it been in Uganda since? Has it been like how it's been in Haiti? It was a quick question.
It's a completely random question, but okay.
I mean, it goes with the conversation.
I mean, imperialism never stops either. Imperialism never stops. Empires never stop until they get too big for their own weight and they collapse. So there is, you can name a country, you can name any country in the world where the US and the former colonizing powers of Europe are still trying to assert or maintain the control they have over their former colonies. Because remember, Uganda, along with every country in Africa, with the exception of Eritrea and Ethiopia, I think.
I was going to talk about them too.
Yeah, were colonized by Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So once the anti-colonial struggles in many of those countries successfully achieved some level of liberation from the European colonizers, those colonizers they weren't just like, okay, great, you won fair and square.
Right.
No,
they didn't just walk away.
No, it is And interestingly enough, we talk about these things in regard to countries outside of this place, but we never connect the way we continue to be oppressed here with that same phenomenon, because it's the same thing with us here. The reason why we live under so much oppression in domestic colonies with massive surveillance and over policing and injustice and in apartheid desert food deserts is for the same reason, because we fought for our freedom from enslavement, and we won. And they were like, you know what, fuck you. we still need to exploit you for capital. So that is the fight that we are in. It's yes, it's important to look at each country that these things happen in, but we do have to eventually get to the point where we are naming the monster but responsible for all of it. And that monster is imperialism and capitalism.
Right. And making sure that people see that connection. Because even now, I have to follow it more closely, this fight that's happening in Ghana over them and over their decision that they are going to take back control of their gold. Right. And so you have all these, and this is of course where like you have to side-eye China a little bit. Like, oh, now you're gonna side with the other powers to say that Ghana can't control their own gold. But we also don't, there's a lot there, and I don't know what the full thing is. I just know that all of a sudden, all of these imperial powers are saying to Ghana, like, oh, well, you can't do that. And Ghana's like, but it's our gold. What do you mean we can't do that? It's interesting. There's a lot. There's just so much.
So with that said, with 1 or 2 minutes left, what I'm getting from all this is the revolution is ongoing. We always going to need organization, and it's never going to stop. So we got to keep getting together, coming up with ideas and figuring this thing out and unifying and making things happen. All right, that is Jackie Lukeman. What you got coming up on Darker Than Blue this week?
I don't know yet.
Just come and find out.
But look, anything could happen Friday morning, and then whatever she thought she had planned was going to have to change.
Day by day.
Sometimes I just wake up and lay in bed and look at the phone and be like, let's just see.
Got you. And Renee Johnston, what you got coming up Saturdays with Renee?
We are bringing Zora Murph back to talk about art and culture and why museums are shitty places.
That sounds good.
It was a great. We actually pre-recorded it yesterday, and it was an excellent conversation. So I'm excited for folks to be able to.
And that's Saturday at what time?
Saturday at 11.
And what time is Darker Than Blue, Jackie?
Fridays at 5 p.m.
Sounds good to me. I will be there. And also make sure y'all tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. for Classical Breakdown as we do Sade. If you're in the Atlanta area and you want to come and have a good time while you're drinking coffee, I will be at Grant Park Coffee House, and we're gonna have a little day party over there. So we're gonna rock some hip hop, pop, R&B, reggae, Afro beats, and all that. So come through.
Nice. And Ricky is sending a reminder that there's a back webinar tonight for folks.
Yes, let me show you the link for it really quickly. Sorry. No, you get to look at my email real quick. Open up. There you go. This is the webinar. Here you go. I'm going to leave this QR code here for you so you can capture it on the screen right now. Register for this webinar. BAP Northeast is presenting. The war is still here. Imperialist tactics of plunder and the ongoing struggle for peace. Check that out.
All right. And check out all the shows right here on Black Liberation Media. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with some more of the Remix Morning Show with the crew. You know how we do. Thank you all for tuning in, and make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe button on your way out, and let a friend know that this is what they need to be watching if they want that real deal news and information. All right. That's it. I'm the Ear Doctor. That's Jackie Lukeman. That's Renee Johnston. We out of here, y'all. Peace. Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.